is Monday. Sorry about that. It is February 27th, and my name is Bill McCamley. I'm a state representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla with your legislative update for the day. So the big news, for me at least, is that HB 89, the Cannabis Revenue and Freedom Act, actually died in its second committee today. That's very, very disappointing, especially after going in for about 2.5 hours of back and forth in the committee. The reasons that you heard from Democrats and Republicans were the same ones that you hear constantly, that, it's bad for kids, even though there's actually less teens using it in Colorado now than they had before legalization, that it's bad for traffic, even though that traffic accidents are actually not up in pretty much any of the states that have legal cannabis, that, it's bad for water, for other crops, even though cannabis actually uses probably the least amount of any crop that would be grown in the state. I think a lot of this is just still this typical reefer madness mentality that this is just bad, even though we're seeing over time in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, and now there's going to be 4 other states that do this, that it works. We're taking money out of the hands of drug dealers. In New Mexico, that would probably be about $400 million, and putting in the hands of legitimate business people. And the numbers we heard, the estimates we heard, were that it would basically create over 11,000 jobs in the first year and put $60 to $70 million in the state coffers, which would be used for education, economic development, behavioral health, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's really frustrating. That being said, this is the legislative process. Sometimes it takes years to get this stuff done. It was always a long shot this year because our governor has been so against it, but building the bill up, really getting a lot of the input from a lot of the medicinal users and some of the other folks out there who are interested in how to make this work has created a better piece of legislation, so that hopefully when we get a better governor who will actually take this issue seriously, you will have something ready to go. And I think the process this year has been very positive. It's moved forward, and I want to thank the committee and the legislature for actually, for the first time, at least in the House, taking this issue seriously. So in my committee, the Labor and Economic Development Committee, we actually killed a bill that would have restricted medicinal dispensaries from opening in towns that don't want them. And I think this would have been really harmful, so I'm glad that it died, in that we have 30,000 medicinal cannabis patients here in New Mexico right now that are using cannabis for everything from PTSD to chronic pain to glaucoma to cancer. And stopping people from being able to get that medicine purely because you don't have a moral issue with it, I think was a real mistake. So I'm kind of happy that bill is not coming back. We also killed a very extensive public-private partnership bill. Now, what does this mean? It means governments going and contracting with companies for certain things, services to be provided. So a toll road, for instance, that's in other states that is being contracted out to a private company. This is actually working in Las Cruces to an extent. There's a public-private partnership at New Mexico State University with the Burrell School of Osteopathic Medicine, which is working very, very well. However, I think there's limits to what we should do with privatization. I don't believe in privatizing schools or police or fire services or water systems. And the bill before us today would have allowed for cities and counties to contract out to private companies water systems. And though in some places it's worked, in other places there's been real failures because there's a real lack of accountability and transparency that for basic public services is probably vital for some of the things that we take for granted here in the United States, including water. So those are the things that happened today. As always, I appreciate you watching this, and I would try to answer any questions, comments, or concerns that you have. Thanks a lot.